Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. I'm going all the way to the beginning to see who was first today. Dolores Williams, you were first. However, there are no prizes, but thank you so much for being the first person here on the Royal Sussex Live chat. Very cool, very cool. Wait a minute, that's not the one for today. Wait. Um, There we go. This is for today. All righty. Sandra G. Thank you so much for being here. Helen Marmon, Gwen Daniels, Joy Amore. Hope you had a good birthday. Leslie F. Church Nelly, Angela Simmons, Ingrid Soares, Leah Washington. Who else? Antoinette Kennedy. You just had a birthday too, right? Let me see here. Okay. Gail Anita 1. Leslie F. Monroe Taylor Classic Movie Channel. Okay. Let's see. Rochelle Baldreau is here. Very cool. Black Queen. Happy birthday to you again. And who else is here? Brenda Phillips. Yolanda Barham. Thank you for being here. Okay, let me see here. I'm scrolling. Annie Bennett. Let me see. Ladybird. Noreen Bengali. Okay, I'm just going to go all the way down to the very last person in here. Hope I don't miss anything along the way. I mean, hey, Mo Shannon. Nayland Trinity. Okay. B. Thomas. Okay. Okay, we're good. Fancy. That was the last. Oh. All right, Mo Shannon. There we go. Margaret Rowland. Okay. Very cool. Hey, Karen. Joyce Bowles. All right, so let's get into it then. Hope everybody's doing well. Hello, Veronica Quick. So, Harry had his 150-day countdown to the Invictus game. As a matter of fact, he appeared on, I guess, a Zoom. Can you see it there? Hold on, I got some coffee here. That is good stuff. Mrs. Olsen could not do as well. All right. So there you go. What a nice room. Boy, I tell you, the light is awesome. Love the windows. But more importantly than all of that, Invictus Games 2023. Look at the guys closest to the camera. You can see those are some military people. And of course, because they are military, notice that they're sitting in the back because, they're soldiers. Just in case something goes down. Hey, Dorothy Ross. All right. I knew my hugs were close. There we go. Hello, folks. Hope you are all well. Hugs and hugs. Very good. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So anyway, aside from that being just an awesome room, more importantly, now I have a couple of clips from this occasion. The video is quite crude, but I'm going to see what it does, make it do what it do. But the video, I have to warn you. Oh, good Lord. Okay, now the video is quite crude. Oh, where is the video? Okay, let me try that again. Oh, there we go. 150 days.
I've long believed that the service community across the globe deserves to be cheered as much as the most popular professional sports teams. With Invictus Games, that's what they get. Support. We are just 100. Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. First and foremost, I would like to thank Prime Minister Wust Members of Parliament, Team Germany, and all those gathered here tonight for your continued support. We are just 150 days away. Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. First and foremost, I would like to thank Prime Minister Wust, Members of Parliament, Team Germany, and all those gathered here tonight for your continued support. We are just 150 days away.
Okay, so there you go. Just a little bit to wet your whistle. As I said, the videos are quite crude, but it was the best that I could find that was available that I could share. So there you go, just to give you a little inside look at how things were today. And then also Boeing Aircraft, the world's largest aircraft manufacturer, I think. They have like this battle with Airbus for supremacy when it comes to the skies. And anyway, that Everett, Washington-based corporation are very proud sponsors of the Invictus Games. And so anyway, they tweeted today. That is kind of small. Let me see. I want to be able to see that. What does it say there? We are happy to announce that Boeing will be the presenting partner for the Invictus Games Dusseldorf 2023. We are grateful and honored to have such a strong and committed partner on our sides. How cool is that? Yeah, you can't see it for the watermark there, but that's what it says, that they are very proud and very happy for having such a committed partnership. So very cool to Boeing. Now, you know what I always say about flying? If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. So there you go, Boeing. And then here's another look at the very enthusiastic crowd. Everybody's sitting up straight and paying close attention. Although the camera happened to catch Harry in the expression on his face. Well, that's just the way the camera caught him in that split second. But not the most flattering, but it was one of the few photos I could find from this event. And Heinrich Wust says, it's almost time. The Invictus Games Dusseldorf will take place in, what is that? NRW, I don't know what that is. They focus on people who have been wounded or sick in action for their country. We look forward to rooting for the competitors in the Dusseldorf. And now these are also translated. That one is, and so is this one. And 144, oh, there it is. Oh, why does it say 144 days? Oh, well, in 144 days, the Invictus Games will start in Dusseldorf. Prime Minister Heinrich Wust. Oh, that's the Prime Minister. Okay, so the Chancellor and the Prime Minister, are they different people? I guess so. Anyway, Prime Minister Heinrich Wust agreed to this in Berlin today. Prince Harry was there too via video recording. So I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I think with German, the W is with a V sound. So Heinrich Wust. All right, very cool. Glad to see this. Also, let's go here. There is another broad image of the room of the excited people. I love that the military guys are involved. And because we have President Joseph Robinette Biden, they are going to send an American delegation again, I'm sure, just like they did the last time. Joe Biden even produced a coin, a commemorative coin for the games at The Hague. Something that I'm pretty sure would not have happened if that shady guy was still in office. And even worse, God, what if the shady one showed up? That would just ruin the party, wouldn't it? So, all right, so there's another image of things. Now, let them eat quiche. Let them eat quiche. It was that same type of sentiment that cost the monarchy for the nation of France, which is no longer the kingdom, it is a Republic of France because of many things, including the infamous words, let them eat cake. Well, Charles, at a time when there is a food insecurity crisis, um, inflation, and so on, Charles is preoccupied with quiche. So the photo on the left, you can see that Charles is inspecting eggs. I suppose they are organic, um, because if you're going to take him out with an egg, you definitely can't hit him with something that comes from some big commercial operation. Nay. And then, of course, the top center photo, you can see that's when Junior here on the right whipped an egg at him, and none of the eggs hit him. They fell on the ground. Charles didn't seem to be very concerned, except, later on it was reported that Charles said, "Oh, God, Camilla, they nearly ruined my double breasted ducktail soup." Suit, not soup, suit. And of course, Camilla, told Charles, well, you have about 300 of them. They all look the same. That's not the point, Camilla. So, anyway, that is, I guess, the big meal that they're having is quiche. Now, I have a little bit of a conspiracy. I think Charles only is pushing the idea of quiche so that there would be fewer eggs. There would actually be a rise in the prices because of the coronation, and that there won't be enough eggs to throw at him. So that's just my conspiracy. I know it doesn't seem very sound, but that's my conspiracy. Is Charles wants to hike up the price of eggs so that that would actually discourage people from wasting them by whipping them at his double-breasted ducktail soup. A soup. Why do I keep saying soup? Duck soup. Okay, I get it. That's why I keep saying soup. Oh God, Camilla. So, and of course, the weird thing is going to be when he tries. Now, I'm not saying that the president of South Africa is unsophisticated, but he just doesn't look like a quiche man to me. You know what I'm saying? So, how is that going to go on the day of the coronation when the besties are there together? And of course, Charles makes a big fuss over the president of South Africa. I don't know why. Maybe they want more diamonds or something. I don't know. But I just always imagine the president of South Africa saying, Charles gave me some eggs that looked like a pie. I sat next to Kate. William squeezed my thigh. And I thought to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, I suppose the president of South Africa will break into song. I saw Anne picking her hair. She looked at me and said, I don't care. And looked at my head and said, how do you do? Oh man. So yeah, that will probably come as a surprise to the president of South Africa. I mean, who knows how many times he's been offered quiche, but yeah, it is rather a fancy meal. Uh, but I mean, quiche. Why not something more British for the coronation? You know what I mean? Something more British. I'm not saying bangers and mash, but just something that seems a little more British. But quiche, that seems rather odd. Oh yeah, I rode in the carriage. I saw black folks too. I hope they didn't say anything about that gold spoon in my shoe. One of the squatties put this together. This is the cost of the crown. It's only, I don't think it's most of them, it's just a few. But, guys, the Guardian has been flooding the interweb with stories about the riches and exploitation and so many other things that has to do with the British royal family. I'm still surprised that all of this is happening um so close to the coronation. But if you want to make the maximum impact, this is the right time to do that, is just before the coronation, because otherwise it may get buried or lost, or maybe people wouldn't have as much interest. I know, right? He does look like Louis Armstrong. Oh, yeah. My favorite is him waving outside of the carriage. That gets me every time. Oh, man. Um, Charles gave me a bag of cash. I said, "What should I do?" Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super chat, super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Okay, and let me see here. And okay, so there you go. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this nice collage of photos of the screenshots from the Guardian. There's a bunch of them, though. I can see quite a few that are not here in this group. I saved a few of them myself in case I need them later. But yeah, it's a lot. Very interesting time for the royal family. It's almost like when the Queen died. If you remember how surprising it was that instead of people being like paralyzed with grief, it was like every other person you spoke to had something to say about colonialism and reparations and such. So I did not expect that to happen like so close to the time that the Queen died, like that same afternoon. But still, people were in their feelings, and rightly so, I suppose. But I was just surprised at the swiftness of the criticism for the Queen, for the royal family, and everything else. But I guess what the difference probably is. It's probably a matter that people um, may have felt these things, but they never had a chance to express it because nobody ever asked. No one ever asked. So, um, oh, okay. Okay, very good. Sorry about that. But yeah, I guess nobody ever asked. And I guess if you ask the question and, the world is paying attention, perhaps the reactions are amplified for that reason. So maybe that's why. But I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I am just still very surprised that with the coronation coming up, I mean, I wouldn't expect so much goodwill for Charles on any occasion, but how interesting that even the Guardian, but the Guardian has been very good about using things like the Freedom of Information Act and so on to expose certain things about the royal family. And they didn't show any type of consideration for the Queen, dead or alive, I suppose. Hello, VS Speaks Royally. Thank you for being here. All right, so this is something that came as a surprise to me. Royal family branded fragile and malleable in new book by Welsh author. A brief popular history of the Welsh protests against the investiture of Prince Charles as Prince of Wales in Carnarvon. What is it? Whatever. Carnarvon? No. Cernafon, right? Carnarvon. Anyway, that place right there in 1969. As seen in the hit Netflix series The Crown, placards, sit-ins, parliamentary-style parades, and even a bombing campaign across the country showed that many in Wales were not happy to accept an English Prince of Wales. A brief popular history of the Welsh protest against the investiture of Prince Charles in that place again in 1969, as seen in popular Netflix series The Crown. The and that too, to the Free Wales Army. Um, oh my goodness. Okay, so that is the Welsh language. That is the Welsh language. But anyway, not happy to accept an English prince is what they were saying. I did not realize that the protest was so loud back in those days. Just a little brief history, as I understand it, is that hundreds of years ago, in order to suppress the free will of the people in the Principality of Wales, they, I guess, eliminated a few of the people who stood as Prince of Wales. Welsh people who, Welsh men, that is, who saw themselves as the rightful heirs to the principality. And usually a principality is a not absolute sovereign state, but it has autonomy and independent of a much larger and more powerful kingdom. Like for instance, Liechtenstein is a principality, and that was something that was approved by the Holy Roman Archduke of Austria, right? And so when the Austrians empire collapsed and when the Habsburg were run out of power, the Prince of Liechtenstein, the family retreated back to the mountains where they had this 65 square mile nation in the hills. And it's a very small place, 65 square miles is not very large. However, because they're independent and don't even have the Holy Roman Archduke of uh, the Austria to answer to. So now they operate in complete autonomy. The Prince of Liechtenstein is, I think, an absolute ruler, although he's supposed to be very fair. But yeah, so that's how Wales is. Wales is a principality, and so in order to get people to fall in line and be more patriotic and to throw their love and support, if that's at all possible, toward the English throne, they installed the firstborn male of the sovereign was invested as the Prince of Wales. Therefore, the Welsh people would still feel like they have a prince and they won't feel like they lost anything. Well, of course, that's not the case because in most countries, Charles would have been known as a crown prince. But in the UK, they use the name Prince of Wales to denote that he will be the next sovereign when the king or queen dies. In his case, the queen. So that is why there's so much bad blood. The last person who was a Prince of Wales that was actually Welsh, when Charles went to Wales to what do you call it, to declare himself king after the queen died, he actually did that on a very patriotic day in Wales that acknowledged the last Welsh prince. So that is why a lot of people were protesting and very upset. But then again, a lot of people would protest anyway. So this is a little part of the Welsh history that I was unaware of, but it almost sounds like Northern Ireland. I didn't know that they actually had violence and such in protest of the principality. Ruth Lopez says, I was stationed in Wales. The worst insult you could use was to call a Welshman English. That was in the 70s. Ooh, okay. Michael Sheen, the guy that played Tony Blair in The Queen, he is a strong, proud Welshman. And he asked the question, why would King Charles come here at a time when, he could have come the very next day, but Charles went there on the day that celebrates the last Welsh Prince of Wales. And ever since that time, there has been an Englishman. Now, the odd thing is, and this is one of the reasons why I feel Charles is shady, one of many reasons, is that Charles could have actually waited before the investiture, or that not investiture, but before he conferred the title Prince of Wales to William. It's not a birthright. It has to be conferred by the sovereign, which is why the Queen went there in 69, was it, to do the investiture, because it's not a given. That is something that has to be conferred. You don't just get it because you're the firstborn male, but you at that point, then you're no longer the heir apparent only. You're also the Prince of Wales. So that is something that I didn't know that they had. And the investiture, this was like such an unnecessary event. I will say that. I don't think they ever had such an elaborate investiture for a Prince of Wales in history. But this was post-war England, or in this case, post-war Britain, should I say. And they were trying to build up the idea of pomp and circumstance. And because the Queen was so young, I think there was the idea that she might live a long time. And so they had this ceremony, like 15 years after the Queen got on the throne? Let's see, 52, 62. Yeah, so about 15 years after she got on the throne, they have this big ceremony for Charles. And then what happened? The Queen lived a long, long time. So I think this was a way to give him something to do with his energy, was to have this big, elaborate affair for Charles. And that is how that happened. And that crown that Charles is wearing, that is something that was created just for the occasion. It did not exist before 1969. They literally had to craft it in time for the event. So that's why I said this whole thing is very, very contrived. It had never happened before, not at this scale. But I think it was just a way to, celebrate post-war England and such. So, or should I say Britain, the UK, and that is why that happened. So very, very interesting that happened. Okay, let me move on. Welcome if you just joined us. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you are not subscribed, please do subscribe to Royal Sussex. And didn't I have a video for that one? Nope, that's not it. I thought I had a video for Wales when Charles got booed. Yes, I do have one. Hold on a second. Let's do that one. That's when he made that Charles Nelson Riley face, isn't it? That was when Charles did that Charles Nelson Riley face. Okay, there it is.
While we struggle to heat our homes, we have to pay for your parade. The taxpayer pays 100 million for you, and what for? Needham Renin, not my king. Charles, while we struggle to heat our homes, we have to pay for your parade. The taxpayer pays 100 million for you, and what for? Needham Renin, not my king.
All right. I knew I had one. I was just like, how could I forget about that video? That was fun to make. All right. So remember, Neiman Marcus means not my king. Okay. So speaking of kings, Charles is hammering out, I think he's putting like his cipher or something like that on a piece of a cross that will be carried at the coronation. So as you can see, the design is very Celtic with the crossing interwoven design. But in the very center of that are two shards, two like splinters of the wood, reportedly that comes from the actual cross that was used for Christ. That is a piece of Christ's cross. And that was a gift from the Pope. Don't ask me how they know. Just like at the Notre Dame Cathedral, they have a crown of thorns that reportedly belonged to Christ or was, used to crucify Christ. And so this is going to become a very sacred relic in the collection at the Westminster Abbey. And, it just really goes back to the idea of Charles, the very flawed individual that he is, being the governor of the Church of England, being the head of the church, the spiritual leader of the church. That is an awesome responsibility. And, I don't stand in judgment of him, but I am fascinated by the hubris that is used to justify his ascension to the throne. You really have to be sure of yourself, either that or just born with the ultimate birthright, and that is of a future sovereign. Connie Balmer! I have been waiting to say that for 34 minutes and 44 seconds. Connie Balmer, welcome to the live. All right. Now, I was feeling a little off, but now everything has come together. So I'm good now. But yeah, so that is sealed inside of that glass, I suppose, or crystal, whatever it is. That is reportedly a portion of the cross used to crucify Christ. And this very flawed individual is the one who is helping to seal it in place. You see those little pegs on the table? Well, those are used to put in the, you know what, I should have used the slide for that, but there's lettering on it and symbols, and that is what's being hammered into the back of this cross, which I suppose is made of silver. But the silversmith, that's what they do when they complete the piece. They'll take those little pegs, and there's inscriptions or symbols on it, or perhaps the symbol for the silversmith or whatever, and they just bang it in there. So that's what he's doing. He's not helping to build it, but he's pretty much signing it. So that will remain a part of the Church of England forever. Yes, pegs. That's right, pegs. I hope they're not borrowing those from someone that we all know. Not for that. So anyway, congratulations, Joan Garcia. Joan Garcia has a new companion, a forever companion named Felix. Yes. I have been in contact with Joan Garcia from time to time. And so she updated me about some things going on in her life. And that includes a furry companion named Felix. How sweet is that, isn't it? Well, she had another companion that passed away. And so she told me that it was okay to give a shout out to her new companion, Felix. And hopefully, just like the old companion that passed away, sadly, I suppose that when I start singing, this cat should go and run into the next room just like the other cat would. We'll see. But yeah, for some reason, whenever I sing, people's companions seem to scatter and run into the next room or hide under the furniture. I don't know what that's about, but anyway, so congratulations. Yeah, well, actually, actually, this I'm just using this as a way to celebrate Felix, but I don't have any clue what Felix looks like. Although, it wouldn't be me if I didn't have a cautionary tale for Joan Garcia. Um, and if you are watching Joan, or if you watch this later, Joan lives in the inner city, and I just want to make sure that Joan understands she needs to talk to her companion and make sure that her furry companion, is in the house by, I don't know, dinner time. And because, cats can be pretty shady. So, and it just wouldn't be me if I just said congratulations and left it alone. I have to point out the more sinister side of having right, Lady Bird, these cats are out of control. So just a cautionary tale for you, Joan Garcia, if you're watching. Make sure you talk to your cat, counsel your cat, spend time with the cat, because sometimes they can get in with the wrong crowd and, run into a convenience store or something like that, and come out with cans of tuna or whatever. So just a cautionary tale. But again, congratulations. I don't want to lay anything too heavy on it because this is a day to celebrate. So just a cautionary tale. And also, being an inner city cat like this one right here, whoever this poor cat is, has been fighting so much, he done lost part of his ear. So you have to be very careful. Okay, Joan? So again, I don't want to spoil the mood with my unnecessary warnings, but you just have to keep an eye. If more people would know where their children were, this world would be a better place. So keep your cat close, and talk to your cat, and just make sure that they don't get mixed up with the wrong crowd and come home missing a piece of ear. I know I ain't got no sense, do I? And speaking of catching up with the wrong crowd, like look at this poor cat. I wonder if this cat wandering around Kensington Palace or the Adelaide Cottage, this cat may have picked up a bad habit. What do you all think? I think this poor cat picked up a really bad habit because it wandered into the garden over at Adelaide Cottage, or perhaps in the courtyard there at the Kensington Palace, and picked up a really annoying habit from one of the people there. And, I don't know what's going to ever become of this cat, but if it's anything like the bad influence, it probably won't work that much, right? Probably won't work that much. It probably won't be able to communicate very well. But again, you have to make sure that your cat doesn't get caught up with the wrong crowd. Woo! Talk about shade. The shade. Okay. Anyway, just a warning. You know what I'm saying? Because, it's like a, what do you call it? A blank canvas. But if you communicate and everything, then they won't get caught up in the wrong crowd. Let me see. It's endearing on the cat. What is that? It's endearing on the cat. It don't look. Yeah, yeah. But the poor little feline is going to have such a what do you call it? It's going to have a tough life if every time somebody says something he doesn't understand, he starts laying that head over to the side. So anyway, I just like to be helpful, and the occasional cautionary tale is necessary. So again, congratulations, Joan. I know you're going to be very good for your companion, and I'm probably wasting my time with this. So, but it was a chance to be shady to Kate, so I'll take it. Speaking of shady, the Phantom of Mar-a-Lago is going to be in a heap of trouble. Roland Wilson was confirmed as the next chief judge of New York on Tuesday, the first time a black judge will lead the Court of Appeals and state's sprawling court system. Wilson was confirmed 40-19 on a party line vote in the Democratic-dominated state Senate. Democrats have praised Wilson's resume and his Jewish prudence. What else? Republicans, however, criticize him for being too far to the left to lead the court. So, boy, I tell you, every place Trump goes, it seemed to be like another black person there. A black prosecutor, black judges, black mayor. I guess that's a signal to stay away from New York City and stop ripping people off or whatever you're doing. But yeah, Trump just can't catch a break, can he? Wilson was the second nomination by Governor Kathy Hochul, whatever, to lead the Court of Appeals, New York State highest court. Hochul, in late December, initially nominated Justice Hector LaSalle to lead the court, but his nomination was rejected in an unprecedented vote by the state Senate amid opposition from labor unions and progressive advocates. So Judge Roland Wilson is highly qualified jurist with a keen sense of fairness and deep commitment to justice, Hochul said. Throughout his tenure on the bench, he has proven himself to be thoughtful, a leader who recognized the power of the judiciary to impact the lives of all New Yorkers. In other words, it may be a very uncomfortable thing for Trump. But I tell you, this is just so cool. I love that every time he opens a door, there seems to be a brother or a sister on the other side of it. Hear, hear. Okay. The other thing, you guys, on a more serious note, I know I was kidding about the cats gone wild or whatever, but as you guys may know, there has been a bunch of how do I put this? Peyton Washington is in the ICU after she was shot for getting in the wrong car in Texas. Caitlin Gillis, was shot to death for driving into the wrong driveway in New York. And Ralph Yarl was shot in the head for ringing the doorbell at the wrong house in Missouri. It's the guns. It's the guns. So talk to the young people in your lives and let them know they need to be very careful where they tread when they're in an unfamiliar place or unfamiliar situation. Because, yes, Big Mama, I did that. I did that, Big Mama. I certainly did. But yeah, you know, as long as there's so many guns, and as long as there is some people out here that, you know, I bet you any of us could think of half a dozen people, or even more than that, that we know that you would say that person should not have a gun, right? And there have been people that I know that have weapons that I suddenly didn't have time to be around. You know what I mean? I could not, I did not want to be in the same room with a particular person. Oh God, I could tell you a story about a friend of mine who had a bad incident like that, where they just had a feeling, and then next thing you know, there was a tragedy that involved that person and that person's wife, and it was that rather odd person that everybody was so nervous about. Well, listen to your guts. But yeah, talk to the young people. Let them know that when you're in those unfamiliar situations or whatever. And as for Ralph Yarl, he did not have his cell phone. So, he went to the house the next block over. And that's what happened. There was a 85-year-old nervous Nellie that happened to have a gun. The girl at the top photo there, she was at a shopping mall and got into the wrong car, with a group of friends. And she wasn't the only one shot. There was another person that was shot, but she got hurt the worst. And the young lady in the middle there, Kaylin, they went into the wrong driveway. So this is just one of those things where you just have to plant that seed, and hopefully when the time comes that it will resonate enough for them to stay safe. But yeah, this is just so unnecessary. It's just so unnecessary for something like this. Connie Balmer, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. But okay, so I'm done with my soapbox moment, but I just had to put that out there as a public service announcement, because this just bothers me, and it just seems like something that could possibly be avoided. Kids don't really think sometimes. They don't understand certain things, but hopefully all of this will be a cautionary tale about where you tread in life. And it's a shame that things are like that, but these are the times we live in. So but yes, Big Mama, I altered his trousers. The Phantom of Mar-a-Lago, he goes haunting around the hallways at Mar-a-Lago, harassing the guests. And do you know, sometimes that big ogre will walk into a wedding ceremony dinner, and at the dinner, when he walks into the restaurant at Mar-a-Lago, he expects everyone to stand up when he walks in the room. Yes, interrupt your meal so you can stand up at attention when he walks in. But you know what? If you stay at Mar-a-Lago, you deserve it. So this is a movie that I'm into. Oh, what is that? Connie Balmer says it's a crime to carry a gun here unless in military, police, or security. And you know what, Connie Balmer? I wish that it was like that here. I wish that it was like that here. It's just so unfortunate that it's not. I'm sorry. I skipped ahead. Let me go back for a second here. I read that more children die from being shot than being killed in road accidents. Well, the statistic, and if you guys want to verify this, go ahead. I think it's about 40,000 Americans die because of guns in the U.S. every year. 40,000. That's like a small city. 40,000 people die because of gun violence, accidental shootings, and everything else you could imagine because of that. So I actually saw a video where some girls were doing a TikTok video, and the one girl had set her purse down, and when she sat it down, instantly one of the toddlers or small child went over to mommy's bag and picked up the gun out of mommy's purse. And fortunately, the girl ran over there and took it from the child. But, at the very least, when you go into the house, go straight to the kitchen, top cabinet, over the refrigerator, all the way to the back. If that's the easiest, best, and most convenient way to secure something like that. It's better than just plopping your purse down on the table while you and another adult and the other children are dancing in front of the television. I mean, every time I think about that, I just get that funny feeling. So avoidable. But a tragedy may have happened from that. Unfortunately, it didn't. So, um, yeah, just we just have to. Hey, B10. Oh, thank you so much for stopping by. Anna Espinosa, where have you been? Well, how about those that got well, yeah. Now that is a subject that I'm going to stay away from, Anna Espinosa, because it has been so divisive in our politics, and it has been such a weight on everything in our politics that people have used that as a way to divide the country. And I just think after all this time, we have got to move on from those conversations about that. Okay, so this is a movie that I want to see. Why has this person been erased? The untold story of the Black French maestro. In rousing new historical drama, Chevalier, the story of Joseph Boulogne, often crudely referred to as Black Mozart, is finally given the spotlight it deserves. So, this is a movie about a young man of mixed race heritage who was born in the Caribbean. And when his father took him, I think it was the Caribbean, when his father took him back to France, and then later, I think his mom had came over. Um, she, of course, was an African slave. His father was a French nobleman, and he had a big struggle throughout his life to find a place. And his music and his talent as a fencer, the little skinny swords, had taken him to some pretty interesting places, like becoming friends with Marie Antoinette and all kind of people. But yeah, and I think he actually performed with Mozart. I think that's the story. But yeah, anyway, just so you know, the movie is out there. So when I do see it, I'm going to let you guys know before I see it that that I am going to see it, and I think it is at the movies now. I hope I got that right. Then we'll have a chat about it or something. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. So this right here. Does anyone know of a? Oh wait. Does anyone know of a 4-year-old who is so bright? He knows the date of his birthday and insists his party is on that same day. Well, Angela Levin is at it again. And of course, it took the Sussex Squad detective agency to point out the fact that she said, age just 3, I decided enough was enough and I had to leave home. I gathered my favorite dress patterned with, what is that? What is this? Something in flowers and my potty and my dolls. Anyway, she has been dragging her mother for years. As a matter of fact, before Prince Harry, that's how she made money, was dragging her mother. My mother was a cruel and horrid woman. It's taken her years to confront it, but Angela Levin makes a taboo breaking admission and reveals why she believes countless others suffer just like her. So, here's another one of those situations where you are allowed to speak your truth. You are allowed to tell your story, and you are allowed to write a book and go on shows and do a whole tour and circuit doing nothing but bashing your mom and making money. But Harry is not allowed to tell his truth and even echo some of the sentiments expressed by his father about The Queen. Why is it you get to tell your story? And Harry doesn't get a chance to tell his. And even worse, why do you get to tell Harry's story, having spent only, I don't know, 15 minutes talking to him, and you turned a 15-minute interview into a lifetime's work going after Harry? If it wasn't for Meghan, what in the world would you have to talk about? Yeah, Audrey Teschner, I agree. But I do believe that person that I was speaking of, it seemed like she was visiting someone else's house. So that's why I said, if that's the least you can do, put it in a high place out of the way instead of just dropping your purse on the sofa. But yeah, they should always be locked up. I'm glad you said that, because I didn't want to have a misunderstanding about that. They should always be locked up. But every place you go, there's not a place to, lock it and secure it. And even better, keep it on your person. But, this lady, she just dropped it on the couch and started doing the TikTok dance. Oh, I wouldn't have it myself, but yeah, there you go. Let me see. B10 says that Angela 11 is so vile. No wonder her mom said she was the devil. Yeah, she said that her mother referred to her as a devil child or something like that. Okay. Let's move on. And so, speaking of dolls, I haven't watched it, but I suppose they're still at it. I told you that they have a channel now, Angela 11 and Rapunzel, or wait a minute, not Rapunzel. Let me add a little something to that. Oh wait. I'm trying to find something. Let me see. It's got to be something added to Rapunzel. I'm going to think of something to go with that. But yeah, but anyway, she's looking like, Rapunzel from around the way. Oh man. But yeah, I just thought that was a good way to describe the wigs that seem to keep getting longer and longer. And this is a new one. Now, one of the squatties inboxed that to me. Janice of the Muppets and Lady C. You never see the two of them in the same room at the same time. How about that? Janice from the Muppets and Lady C. It is an uncanny resemblance between the two of them. So maybe. And you know what, guys? Somebody infiltrated the White House today. Yes, tiny troubles. Toddler infiltrates White House grounds. He got busted. He actually managed to squeeze himself through the gate and have the run of the place. But fortunately, the White House Secret Service uniformed police was able to capture this child and eject him from the White House grounds. He'll never do that again. I hope they roughed him up and gave him like a little juice box and maybe a cookie or something. But at the very least, give him a very stern look. Admonish him with a stern look, and then release him back, to his parents. So, yeah. So, yeah, there you go. Okay, so there you go. I thought it was adorable though. Look at him. His little pull-ups showing. Look at there. His little pull-ups are showing. And Officer Brubman had to take him back out. That is adorable. Him little pull-ups are showing, sure is. And him ain't got no shoes on. You know, when they're that age, they're absolutely adorable. It's only when they grow up and, you know, they want to just be with their friends, that's when they have no use for you. But at that age, they're just curious little balls of energy. The bad thing is that they grow up and then they don't need you anymore. Big Mama, they're on this side of the fence, I suppose. He just kind of squeezed right through. Yeah, you know what? I get very nervous when I see people are not paying attention to their children. I used to wonder why people would have those big kids inside of those strollers, prams for the rest of you guys. Now I understand. It's the only way you can keep track of them. And of course, there was another curious little toddler at the White House at one time. A young and curious John F. Kennedy Jr. explores his father's desk at the 35th president, as the 35th president gets some work done. So, yeah, there was another kid that used to have the run of the place. And I always love this photo of John. He would do a little peekaboo under the desk. Now, fun fact about the desk. Of course, you guys know the story about the desk. The Resolute was actually made from timbers that were taken from a British explorer vessel that was trying to get to the North Pole. So they had to abandon the ship because it got stuck in the ice. Well, the American Navy actually rescued the ship. There was no one on board, but they rescued the ship and gave it back to the British. And so the British were instructed by the orders of Her Majesty Queen Victoria to create a gift for the American president. And so they made two of those desks, this one, and then there's one in the UK. Well, this one has a very American theme. And anyway, here's the fun fact about the desk. You see the little door that John is playing with? That was actually added later on because Franklin Roosevelt was a little, what do you call it? He was a little insecure about, well, not really insecure, but he was just, sensitive about people staring at his wheelchair. So when he was in the Oval Office taking care of business, he didn't want people looking at his wheelchair. So he had them add a door to the desk so that you couldn't see his wheelchair. And also, you may notice that the very bottom of the desk, you can see that dark wood at the bottom. And they actually elevated the desk. It was a little lower, but most presidents have been a little taller, and Franklin Roosevelt also had his wheelchair. So I forget which president it was, but they actually raised the height of the desk. And so it's been like that ever since. But, most presidents are usually tall. I can name quite a few of them that were over 6 feet tall, including John F. Kennedy. Hey, Latrice Taylor, thank you so much for being here. Gosh, you look familiar. Well, yeah, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. And thank you for the super sticker. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy Prince Spaghetti Day. All right. Very cool. All right, so that was my little White House history. So if you guys do not want to watch the coronation, there is an alternative for you. Channel 4 to air Prince Andrew's documentary during King's coronation in pointed alternative coverage. In other words, they are being just as shady as I am. They are going to present to you the coronation on most channels, but on Channel 4, which is a UK channel, they are going to run the behind-the-scenes documentary about how they got the interview. You know what part I'm hoping that they're going to add to that? please tell us whose bright idea it was to tell him, why don't you go and do an interview? Now, they said it was Beatrice or Eugenie that said, you need to set the record straight and give an interview. And as we know, as a result of that, there was something like a car wreck on television. I mean, it was an absolute disaster. You cannot. Oh, by the way, let me see here. Thank you, LM, for the Cash App. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Yeah, I turned my ringer off, but I did just happen to see that. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, and that is the alternative. And you know, and I will always wonder why did they think that was a good idea? This was an absolute disaster. Dr. Shola says this coronation is finally getting juicy. To think is Prince Andrew that'll steal King Charles' thunder. I bet they're begging Meghan Markle to come now. Yeah. I didn't know Dr. Shola. Well, let me take that back. I do kind of know that, or should I say, I've always known that Dr. Shola could be a little shady and messy, but this takes the cake right here. And you know, I always say that. I'm like, ooh, that's juicy. Well, Dr. Shola shares that sentiment, and it's starting to make me wonder, does she watch Royal Sussex? Now, that I'd be interested to know. But yeah, there you go. Dr. Shola is trying to get messy too. So very cool, Dr. Shola. And of course, there is the longest head outside of Easter Island, Camilla Tominey. She spent some time with him talking, I'm sure. And of course, I'm just being messy showing these photos. I didn't really have a purpose for it. But yeah. And, you know, as much as they love to try to say that, oh, the Sussexes made the Queen's life so terrible toward the end, that probably hastened a 96-year-old woman's transition. Yeah. When a person gets to be 96, you can literally yell boo into the telephone and you may never see them again. So why are you trying to blame Harry and Meghan? But maybe what really made things terrible for her was the idea that she had to reach into her purse and get her checkbook out and write a check for 12 million or more pounds to settle a lawsuit because of her wayward son, a lawsuit that was brought about by someone he never met for something he didn't do. That's the most interesting thing about that lawsuit. That's a lot of money to pay for someone that you never met and for something you didn't do. As a matter of fact, I am going to try to figure out if there's some way I can get $12 million from somebody I never met for something that they certainly didn't do. So, and then finally, the only uniform Andrew should be allowed to wear is the old Crossbar Hotel uniform. And the little ironic image of him leaving the church and putting that fat, sweaty palm of his on the iron bars as he makes his way up the steps of the St. George Chapel. All you have to do is just crop it, and it looks like he's exactly where he belongs. And of course, the real irony is that they treat Harry and Meghan like they're villains, like they have, hey, Shelley L., like they're villains or have broke the law or something like that. But it's a false equivalency to try to put the Sussexes in league with that person who's had to pay out, 12 million pounds, thanks to his mama, for something he never did, and, to somebody he didn't know. So, but yeah, that is one thing that always bothers me, is that they are constantly trying to create this equivalency between, the Sussexes and Andrew, an equivalency that is so far-fetched and so nonsensical that it makes me sick. Do you hear me? Sick. It just makes me sick. So, and then right here, I'm not kidding when I say that daytime TV shows like Good Morning Britain, This Morning, Loose Women, Jeremy Vine, etc., are one of the biggest causes of right-wing radicalization in this country, thanks to how badly they frame any topical discussion or debate. And that is true. That is true. And that is why I always say you have to be very careful what you're taking in when you watch these shows. That conversation that they're having on television is a conversation that is not designed to inform you. It is to indoctrinate you. They are trying to program you. And by listening to the loose women and trying to get people to identify with the messages that they're putting out there, I've seen it time and time again. And of course, some polls are not actually to get information. Those polls are to try to guide you. Like, for instance, this one right here, should protesting be banned? They're not saying should it be banned. They're saying protesting should be banned. The should is just, an unnecessary addition to the sentence. But what they're trying to do is indoctrinate the viewers to believe that through the poll and through the conversation that they're giving, that people should not be allowed to protest. And that is how the mass media works. You have six companies in the United States that own most of the media. The Warner Group, of course, the Murdochs, the Disney, Viacom, CBS, and whatever other ones. But they are the ones that control the message. And so because of that, people are indoctrinated. That is how Trump got elected. It's because you had these few companies that would broadcast his rallies. And because of all the excitement at the rallies, it just made it seem more and more legitimate. And so next thing you know, Trump is president. He wouldn't have made it to the White House if it wasn't for other conservative, rich white men that own those media outlets. I repeat, he would not have made it there if it wasn't for like-minded people just like himself. And that is how Trump made it to the White House, is that it wasn't so much that he worked for it, it was given to him. And that was because they normalized all of the deficiencies that he had by constantly putting him on television. And with the fear of a, revolt from the people, they decided, okay, the next time around, maybe we shouldn't do that again. And they didn't. And so because of the lack of access the next time around, well, fortunately, that did not happen again. But he made a lot of money for the networks. So that's why I always say you have to be very, very careful what you allow into your media, because, and that goes for me too. If I'm the only voice that you're listening to, something is wrong. You need to, branch out to some other people. Don't ever just listen to one person, because it's not healthy. Yeah, it is not healthy. Myra V says, Baron, for many Brits, what Andrew did was not wrong, because Virginia was 17, which in the UK is allowed. Yeah, I mean, in some places in the US, either the laws have only recently changed or need to change. But, it just it is the 50 states. It is 50 countries under one roof. And so those things vary from place to place. And and I get that in some places it's 17, some places 16. But it wasn't just a matter of what happened and how old the person was. It was an issue of how was this facilitated? Was this part of a much greater organization? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to avoid using certain words, but if it was part of a conspiracy, if you will, then that's where it comes in. It's just like if you are an educator, even if your pupil is of a certain age, you're in a position of authority. If you're in the workplace and someone who is a subordinate, if you're like, having relations with that person, you could find yourself in a lot of trouble, even if it seems like they are, in on it. Again, I'm trying to avoid certain words, but you can find yourself in a lot of trouble. So it's not always just the number. It's also partly the situation and how much power is being exercised. So that also matters. So yeah, I know there's people in Britain and in the United States that look the other way all the time. And I'd give you another good example. How about, did you guys see the guy that is a fundraiser? Or let's see, I don't know what he does for what do you call it, for the Republicans, but he looks just like Sammy Davis Jr. He looks just like Sammy Davis Jr. It looks like somebody just took a big hand and pushed his face in. He looks just like Sammy Davis Jr. He has the processed hair and everything. I'm like, Sammy? Sammy? Yeah. That there, if there wasn't any merit to it, it would not be a thing. And some places things have merit in places where, in other places it doesn't. But the point is, it was part of a much bigger, broader situation that impacted a lot of people. So, and for every person who's ever spoken up, there are, yes, that is the name right there. Ali Alexander. Absolutely. That is the person that looks like Sammy Davis Jr. Go ahead and Google that, you guys, if you want to see him. He is a hot mess. So loose women. Oh, is that the wrong photo? I'm sorry, you guys. There we go. I don't know why I always mix those up, but they look just like the Gruesomes. They used to live next door to the Flintstones. And I always, oh, thank you, Big Mama. I like to think I'm more than just a pretty face. They look just like the Gruesomes that live next door to the Flintstones. And so every time I always mix up those photos, the gruesome women, the loose women, the women from Whoville. Yes, there is one of the loose women that look like she's from Whoville. So you got two franchises competing, actually three franchises competing. You have the Cat in the Hat. What do they call that franchise? You have the Flintstones with the Gruesomes. So yeah, there's a lot going on with that group. So scary, quite frightening, I would say. I love the Queen. I love the Queen. Oh man. Yeah, they are. They're a mess. The what do you call it? The loose women. And for the same reason, I don't watch. I used to watch The View, but I had to stop watching them because it was very frustrating. I just hate that they give a platform to people like Kellyanne Conway, even though it's they sit up there and they pretend like they're doing pushback, right? They pretend like they're doing pushback with the people that are on there, like they'll bring a Bill O'Reilly or something like that on. But you know what? The talking points are already agreed upon. There's nothing spontaneous about the conversation. So when you watch those things, you get frustrated and you look at it and you say, oh boy, Whoopi is going to get them. Whoopi ain't going to do nothing. Whoopi is just like the rest of them. She's just another person at that table who cannot say exactly how she feels if she wants to keep her job. That's why I don't bother with that, because you're not really learning anything. Oh, by the way, hey, Charlotte. I saw Charlotte. All right. You guys, Charlotte is here. Very cool. No, that thing is still alive. Yeah, those people, to me, they're all a waste of time. You don't learn anything. And I lost respect for Bill Maher. I lost respect for Bill Maher because of Kellyanne Conway. Bill Maher let her sit on his show and deliver all of those Republican talking points, right? Just before the election. Now, let me tell you guys something. When they go on those shows and they give out those talking points, they're not trying to change your mind. What they're trying to do is to reinforce the base. They're trying to shore up their support within the other party. And so by Kellyanne Conway proving that she is brave enough to go into what's supposed to be liberal territory and delivering those talking points, that is like a campaign ad, because they are going to splice up that video and they are going to distribute that all over social media, all over the inboxes across the country with other supporters to contribute to the echo chamber. And by doing that, they give the impression that more people agree with them than actually, listen to that crap and accept it. So there is a hidden agenda for the enemy going into the other territory and showing up on their airways, because they are there not to change your mind, but to actually rally support from within the other party. So that's why I stopped watching those. And Bill Maher, um, he at one time was kind of cool, but he has gone completely over to the dark side, and I have absolutely no use for him. Um, or many of the other ones. They're just a waste of time. I don't bother with those. So anyway, let's get out of Whoville. And of course, I cannot bring up the loose women without getting my girl out. One of my favorite people in the whole world.
Just don't get it. I don't get any of it.
What do you mean? You don't get what?
I don't get why we're so obsessed with these humans that are exactly the same. Like, it could be us four sitting there. I just don't get it.
But are you talking about what you mean
I
as
love the
royals,
Queen.
not as like Kim Kardashian? Because for me, they're becoming celebrities.
Well, to me, that's all they are.
The Queen
is their celebrity.
For me, is brilliant.
I love the Queen.
No, duty, responsibility.
She's always
figurehead.
worked really hard,
But
hasn't
I would
she?
work hard if the whole country paid for me to have like 12 houses and work really hard.
No, they don't pay for all of the houses. But
Just a few.
So they're sitting there pretending that they feel like, oh, well, yeah, they do get a little privilege. But I love the Queen. The whole point of that is to reinforce the idea that the queen is the all-knowing, the all-seeing, the alpha and the omega. That is what the whole point of that exercise. Listen to it again. Listen to it again. Let me see, where is it?
Just don't get it. I don't get any of it.
What do you mean? You don't get what?
yeah.
I don't get why we're so obsessed with these humans that are exactly the same. Like, it could be us four sitting there. I just don't get it.
But are you talking about what you mean as royals or
Yeah.
as like Kim Kardashian? Because for me, they're becoming celebrities.
Well, yeah, to me, that's all they are.
The Queen
is their celebrity.
for me is brilliant.
I
For
love the
what?
Queen.
No,
For duty, responsibility.
She's always
figurehead.
worked really hard,
But
hasn't
I would
she?
work hard if the whole country paid for me to have like 12 houses and work really
No,
hard.
they don't pay for all of the houses. But,
Just a few.
So yeah, she went off script, right? They invited her on the show. Oh, sorry. They invited her on the show because they're trying to appeal to a younger demographic. And she's a very popular television personality. Her name is Stacey Solomon. And so Stacey, of course, to appeal to the younger demographic, but basically the same kind of people over here that would be the MAGA women that, got it in for Biden and the Clintons and the Harris and all of them, the same people that voted for Trump, that's their audience, the Brexit women, the people who voted to leave the European Union, the people who have a fear of brown people and boat people and Windrush people. Those are the ones that make a big part of the audience of that show. But in order to raise the ratings, they'll bring in a Stacey Solomon to mix things up a bit. So, you don't see the obvious, a bunch of middle-aged royalists sitting around the table using those right-wing talking points. But as the man said, when you say daytime TV, like Good Morning Britain, This Morning, Loose Women, Jeremy Vine, most of it is there to reinforce the Tories or the right wing. So very interesting exercise and very necessary to point it out. Speaking of pointed out, Camilla, someone said, I thought that pattern looked familiar. And it does look familiar. As a matter of fact, it is the same type of plant that was used to inspire Meghan's engagement photo dress. They took some engagement photos, and she wore that gown. And, on her, it is a beautiful couture. But on Camilla, it looks like, I'm still undecided. Is it snakes? Is it barbed wire? Is it worms? Serpents? What is it? I don't know. But this is the designer, Bruce Oldfield, the same guy that used to design for Princess Diana, was recruited by Camilla. And of course, the very odd thing of Camilla wanting to use Princess Diana's designer, the very odd thing. See, Camilla, everything about Camilla is a remnant of somebody else that she wants to be. Like, for instance, back in the 1970s, she was watching Charlie's Angels, and she saw Farrah Fawcett's hair, and she got to thinking, if I could just get that hair like Farrah Fawcett, people will like me and think I'm beautiful. Or if I can get that same pattern like Meghan, people will like me and think I'm beautiful. All of that stuff is for a reason. So it's kind of like if you mix those ingredients, supposedly she's supposed to be like the the most That dress was, what was that say? That was the dress that triggered old Scammy. They claimed it was 75,000 K. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So that's where that number comes from. Yeah, it's weird the way those things repeat, huh? Gotcha. Well, it's not the first time. Camilla got inspired. She wanted to try to compete with tall, slender um, Princess Diana, who, of course, wore the famous revenge dress. She was trying to compete. And you know what I didn't notice? Why do Camilla splay her arms out like that? Did you notice that? At first I thought it was because she's carrying a clutch, but she always got those arms out like she's about to try to wrestle somebody. That seems like somebody who wrestles in high school or something. She always has those arms splayed out like that. See what I mean? Always. Just something I noticed. But yeah, so there she is trying to steal Princess Diana's thunder. And oh man, that is just it. If it, and then of course to do it one time wasn't enough. You really have to do it twice to be sure that you got the look. So she decided to go with a different skirt this time, but still, I. What is you doing? What is you doing? Scary. And of course, what about that time when she saw the movie Basic Instinct and she thought, I could do that. And I'm sorry, there's a typo. It's supposed to be Vogue, not Morgue, but there was a typo. It's supposed to say Vogue. Yeah, so when she did her Vogue magazine shoot, she decided to try to strike a pose like Sharon Stone, to disappointing results, I'm sure. And then, of course, there was that time she wanted to be the French lieutenant woman. Instead, she looks more like the French lieutenant. But she was trying to go for that Meryl Streep look. But again, yet another failed attempt to be something that she wasn't. And of course, let's not forget, I didn't say anything about Kate all day, and that would be very weird if I didn't throw Kate in there. Well, I didn't do this. One of the squaddies put that together. I found that on Twitter, and I thought, wow, they have really captured her energy this time. So they really captured her spirit this time. So there you go. And with that, you guys, guess what? We are done, done. That is it for today. Hour and 35 minutes, not bad. So, as per usual, thank you all so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Wednesday to you. And thank you so much, moderators. If it wasn't for the Mod Squad, this would not be such a safe space. So thank you, Mod Squad. And also thank you all for the generous donations for Royal Sussex. Greatly appreciate it. And let me see, what else do we have here? I guess that's it. The people who won the books, I think all the books are on the way. Is that right, Lydia? All the books are on the way? Or am I supposed to say so? I didn't just jump the gun, did I? I think all the books are on the way. And you guys that are receiving your books, believe me, if it was left up to me, you would get them by Christmas. So thank you, Lydia, for making sure that they got out in a timely manner because, my attention span is a little short some days. I have a case of what they call sometimers. I got sometimers. Okay. So yes, I think that was it. I think we're good. I'm looking at some last comments here. Uh, oh, that Kinsey Schofield needs to be dragged up and down social media for her buffoonery. She's a hideous person. Well, cookies and cream, I did my part. I did expose her as the love child of Tammy Faye Baker and a Cabbage Patch doll or something like that, didn't I? But she she's serving Tammy Faye Baker. She is serving the Tammy Faye Baker look. Thank you, Carol Rennie. Yes, stay hydrated. Speaking of stays hydrated, you guys, I have been giving up the sweets, right? And I have to tell you, I was going through a bit of a detox. I had the jitters, but it was necessary because I do have a bit of a sweet tooth, what's left of them. But I do have a bit of a sweet tooth. So I had to take a big step back away from sugars. Not a big step, but a little step. But that little step has had a big impact. I am shaking like a leaf. Uh, I'm like Billie Holiday and Lady Sing the Blues. Tentacles. Oh, I like that. Tentacles. How about barnacles? Huh? It looks like barnacles. Barnacles, they stick to the hull of the ship and they're razor sharp. And if you brush up against them, they'll rip your flesh off, right? And with her, you don't even need barnacles to do that. She looks like if you scrape up against her, she'll rip your flesh off. Oh, I'm so sick of her. Let me see here. Yeah, she packed it on. She packed it on. I had a photo of her side by side with Tammy Faye. But and you know what? You know what? I'm thinking, maybe if she goes with a longer lash, that might soften things up a bit. What do you guys think? A little longer lash might soften things up? I think so. Okay, maybe not. Uh well, thank you. I okay, let me leave her alone because I think I may have found her in a bit of a bad mood, so let me leave her alone. But yeah, a longer lash might soften things up for her a bit. Well, one thing's for sure. Megan is wears minimal makeup. She just likes that clean, fresh look, right? A minimal amount of makeup. And you know what, guys? I told you that you were not going to see the Prince and Princess of Wales until the coronation. Now, I think that they are going to probably show up just before the coronation, but they did all that work. They did all that work before they went off on their vacation. I think they had several engagements, and that was a lot for them. And of course, them doing like um, if they do 70 engagements in a year, and the thing is, sometimes those engagements can be up to 3 engagements on the same day. They could have 3 engagements on the same day, and that counts, you know, not as just one day of work for them. That's 3 days of work on the same day. So, yeah, they got it easy. They got it easy. But I'm looking right now, and I don't think you're going to see the Cambridges until the coronation. They don't work that much. Yep, they don't work that much. And then after the coronation, they're going to do a few more engagements, right? and then you're not going to see the Cambridges probably until September. I'm guessing September. So, oh, by the way, you guys, let me see. They said that the kid that we were talking about, the one who knocked on the wrong door, they said that they actually released a photo of him smiling. He is doing pretty well, all things considered. So I didn't actually see the photo, but apparently he's conscious and everything, which is incredible. But yeah, so I'm praying for his recovery. Okay. Let me get back over here. So anything else before we go, you guys? Rochelle Baldro says, Baron, what about the racist cartoon with Harry and Meghan? I saw that, and you guys know that some things I just don't want to share. You know, if other people share them, that's fine. But I saw it. As a matter of fact, I saw it yesterday. But it's disgusting, and I thought it was a bit too jarring, so I didn't want to share it. But it is a personal choice, and it was just a little bit too heavy for me. There's always some things that I see, and I have to consider: do I want to share it or not? And a lot of times I will just pass, but it is disgusting, and I hate that someone would do something like that, but it just it wasn't for me. But yeah, I did see it, so but I won't share it here. Yeah, what a terrible thing for someone to do, though, right? So okay, anybody else? What else do we have here? Thank you, Vilma Smith. Yeah, again, like I said, it's up for, you have to decide. It's a few things that I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? But everybody has their their choices about that. And I don't think I always get it right. I mean, it was a couple of things, and I'm just like, maybe I shouldn't, but but a lot of times, if my instincts are just like, don't do it, I don't do it. Let me see. Thank you. That looks like a good last word for today. Blessings all, love and prayers for all. Thank you so much for that. That is wonderful. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. That will be our last word for today. Yeah, Letitia. Oh my goodness. When I saw that, I was just like, and it's like at first glance, and then when you look at it again and you see this and you see that, I'm just like, oh, who would do such a thing? And as a matter of fact, yesterday when I was, do you guys remember when I first, if you were on early yesterday when I first started, and I said, oh, that's what I was referring to. I saw that pop up, and I saved it because in case they try to deny that it ever exists, I do want to make sure that I could say, oh yes, it does. But I didn't want to put it on there because I was just like, that is just like a bit too deep for me. Yeah, my threshold for certain things is kind of like shallow. So certain things I just I go with my guts, and my gut said no go. But yeah, and you know, it's those things will come up here and there, and it's just a shame. It's a shame. Thank you so much, Green Nix. Thank you, Connie Balmer. Okay, so I think we're good. All right, you guys, love you always, and also love to our two queens, our queen of everything and our queen of hearts, who we are going to remind the world is not here for various reasons, like somehow dying in a tunnel in Paris in the most mysterious of manners. As Harry said, no one should have died, you know. So yeah, we got to make sure. All right. Thank you, Big Mama. Marsha, say it is time to cue the Ginger Avenger. Uh, oh, well, thank you so much, Nicole Tennis. Let me see. Yeah, you know, but nowadays, Twitter seems to be okay with that stuff. Twitter, like I said, Twitter is censoring certain things that is helpful to the, or should I say, that may be harmful to the royals, and things that call out the royals. I'm pretty sure that at some point, Twitter is going to be as useful as a glass hammer. So right now, it is like going downhill very fast. The changes are so obvious. So pretty soon, it is going to be absolutely useless. Cookies and Cream says, I'm glad that picture was shared. Had it not been shared, that racist jackass would have never been exposed. She would have kept it on with her racist antics. Yeah, I'm glad that she been called out. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you know, it's better to know, like when there's, let's say, if there's a doctor that is in a position where they treat people of color or any other minorities or religious minority or whatever, you would want to know for sure that that's what's in that person's heart, because once you see something like that, then you know you can't trust that person. So where that's concerned, Cookies and Cream, I'm glad that person has been exposed, because do you guys remember when Rachel Johnson was trying to go on this tour of the US? Now, Rachel Johnson is the sister of Boris Johnson, and she likes to fancy herself a feminist, right? And so she went on some radio show or podcast or whatever here in the United States. And much to her shock, the woman that she was doing this interview with all of a sudden reminded her about something that she was hoping nobody in the US would have noticed. And that is the very nasty, negative things that she said about Rachel Meghan Markle in reference to her DNA somehow tainting the blue blood of the royal family. And so when the woman called her out on it, I mean, you could have bought her behind for a nickel. She started hemming and hawing, and oh, it was epic. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that? She thought that she was free and clear to pretend to be this very reforming, very liberated woman who just wanted what was best for all women, when the truth is she was just another one of those MAGA Brexit trolls that has been making life difficult for Megan. So, cookies and cream, you are absolutely right. You need to know if that's what's in the heart of a person. Um, that is very true. So it's only so far you can run from your past, but once it's been digitized, when it's out there, it's out there. Very difficult to pull that back. Good night, Letitia Malone. Which reminds me, what am I still doing here? I gotta go. See you guys. So long. Thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. There's an Armando. I have never seen an Armando here. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. Thank you, Elaine Parker. Well, you know, Marshar, for a long time, I have heard people say that the racism there is very different. And I have to say, that is a monumental understatement. It is very different. But racism is racism. Plain and simple. It's all one and the same. But the way people execute their racism, the way they display it is very different. So, oh, all right, thank you. Love you too. The Ultimate TV, the Ultimate Television, or just TV. Love you too. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm so glad we had this time together, just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems like we get started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. I'm trying to see if John Garcia's cat is going to run to the other room. Oh, man. Well, thank you, Shelly L. Thank you, Shelly. You know, there's always a song somewhere on Royal Sussex, so thank you very much. Oh, yeah. Don't peg and hydrate. Speaking of which, I have to ask the question. Tell me more about your pulled pork sandwich. Tell me more about your pulled pork sandwich. I'd like to have a discussion about your pulled pork sandwich. What about that pulled pork sandwich? I don't know. You have to ask Prince William about that. It's enough to drive you all the way to Poland to have a good pulled pork sandwich. I make everything sound so sinister, don't I? Pulled pork sandwich. I almost forgot what that was code for. Does anybody remember? Pulled pork sandwich. Anyway, it's fun. Whatever it means. Okay. All right, you guys, let me go. I'm sitting here because I don't feel like doing nothing, but I got to run an errand. So the sooner I get out of here, the sooner I can run that errand. It was the same thing I wanted to do yesterday, but by the time I made a couple of phone calls, I took a nap. And when I woke up, it was dark outside. So can't let that happen again. Can't let that happen again. Okay, love you guys. See ya. And it is time to cue the Ginger Avenger. Oh, that was so shady. Woo, that was shady. But she is a monster, isn't she? Mm, just a little troll with a bad mushroom haircut monster, absolute monster, like a little. It's like that movie Trilogy of Terror. Remember the little doll that was chasing Karen Black through the apartment? That's what she reminds me of. The Trilogy of Terror, a little troll that just runs after you, biting and nipping at your heels and nipping and biting, and that's what she reminds me of. A little troll, a little pocket-sized assassin. Little, yeah, that's it. Like a little pocket-sized assassin, just just destroying everything that comes her way, and then on top of that, she lies about stuff and makes up things. Can't stand her. I'm so sick of her. Do you hear me? Sick. I'm just sick of her. Little little menace to society. Um, oh, thank you, Marshar. Thank you. I mean, when you close your eyes, you think Satchmo is there, right? Sounds just like Louis Armstrong. Captures the whole spirit of it. Uh, oh man. All right, I'm fixing to go. See you guys. Good night. Yeah, she threw that thing put it in a suitcase, and then it wasn't a fireplace, it was in the oven. She had the oven on because she was making dinner for her mother-in-law. Remember? She didn't get along with her mother-in-law, and her husband was out of town, and she had bought that doll for him, and it said if you ever take that chain off of it, something bad was going to happen, right? So when she was battling with that thing, she had got it in that suitcase, and somehow she had managed to stick it in the oven or whatever. Oh, actually, I think the suitcase was last, but yeah, she had got that thing in the oven and tried to bake it. And gosh, after I saw that movie, I kept looking around the floor because every little shadow out the corner of my eye, I thought for sure that that Angela Levin, I'm sorry, that little doll, same thing. I thought that little doll was coming after me. So I remember the first time I saw it, it was late at night. It was back in the 80s. And, I got so paranoid that everything that if the curtains blew, I thought that little doll was coming after me. So yeah, that was a good movie. Very good movie. Trilogy of Terror, Karen Black. It was like 3 mini movies in one. She had the one with the twin, she had the one with the doll, and I can't remember the other one. But yeah, that was scary. Right? Right? Okay. Bye, y'all. See you tomorrow.